Welcome back to Travels Large. As you can assume, I'm on another cruise. This time, I'm on a 14-night transatlantic on board the Sky Princess. I figured I would see what a transatlantic voyage is all about, so here I am, and I'm going to share with you what I think is good, what could use a little improvement, and some tips and tricks along the way, so stay tuned. In Fort Lauderdale, Embarkation, I would have to say, went very smooth. Unfortunately, I did not have all my ducks in a row on this vacation. I brought my son with me as he is on spring break. Unfortunately, his passport did not come in time for this vacation, so I had to take a last-minute trip to get him a passport in order to bring him along. However, Princess Cruises did not have that passport information when we arrived to the port. I went to the help desk. They were able to help us get everything updated and get us on the ship still really quickly. That is one thing that I think went very well. They were able to help us get us on board and get that taken care of. So from them helping, or from walking in the door of the terminal to walking on board the ship took about 45 minutes, which, considering what we had to do, I think went really well. In Fort Lauderdale, Florida, I would say it's a very nice, modern, up-to-date terminal that Princess uses. Being a 14-night cruise, you may wonder what the demographics look like on board. On board this ship, needless to say, there's not a lot of children. As a matter of fact, on board this ship, there is only 15 people that are under the age of 18, and one of those is my son. So everybody else, for the most part, is retirees. There's a few younger people, but I would say mostly everybody's retired. That way they can enjoy a 14-night cruise without having to worry about missing a lot of work. So, a little after embarkation, we made our way to our room. On this cruise, I decided to go with an interior room, which is not something I do very often, as you can tell from several of the videos. But I went with the interior room because I would think we wouldn't spend much time in there. However, my son enjoys the programming on the TV, so we did end up spending quite a bit of time in this room. The only thing I personally don't like about the room is, other than its size, which I knew that going into it, is you don't know what time day or night it is, so it's very easy to oversleep. So needless to say, on 14 nights, I've caught up on some sleep pretty quickly. The design of this room I think is great. Just around the corner over here is almost a walk-in style closet, which I think is wonderful. It sets the ship apart from many other ships that I've been on, and it kind of keeps your clothes and everything out of the way and just keeps a living space. And then with the walk-in closet, as you get out of the bathroom, you can have somebody get ready back there and not be in the main area of the cabin. I would say there's a lot of storage on board. There's plenty of places for me and my son to hang our clothes, put our clothes. There's drawers over here, there's drawers back there. So a little bit of everywhere. There's plenty of storage in the room. Another aspect of this room, I am in cabin A528, which is on deck 12, and it's kind of, I would say, in between aft and midship. This room can technically sleep 4 people, 2 on the bed, and these both pull down. That way you have places to put people as well. I think 4 would be too much for this room. My son likes these little pull-down beds, so that's the reason I got this room. I would have to say, for the most part, this room isn't very noisy at all either. Every once in a while you can hear people in the hall, but it is not that bad. So that's one thing I like. And like I said, plenty of movies on the TV, so definitely a way to keep some entertainment going as well. Of course, like every cruise, when I got on board, one of the first things I did was went to the buffet on board. Here it's the World Marketplace. They have several sections where you can get food. They have an area that's kind of like their bakery where you can get desserts, fresh bread, and then of course they have several stations that you can choose from. One of my favorite stations is the Euro station, where you can make Euros. They had a station where you can make nachos, and then of course they had several other areas as well. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. One thing that's really nice about the World Marketplace on board Princess is the hours. They open at 6 a.m. and they go all the way till 10:30 p.m. most of the time. So if you need something to eat, that is definitely a fail-safe place to go. If it's after 10:30, they do have the International Cafe, which on this ship is on deck 5. That is open 24 hours a day. One thing that did throw me off a little bit about the World Marketplace is the drink service. They bring the drinks to you. There's not like a drink station you go to per se. They do have a little bit of a drink station. They only have lemonade and tea. A lot of other lines, they'll have some like flavored water. Unfortunately, on Princess, they do not. It's just lemonade, tea, water, coffee, milk, apple juice, orange juice. And that's pretty much the gist of the beverages. There are 3 quick service dining places on board the Sky Princess. The first is the pizzeria, which is on the pool deck. The main pools, it's on the backside opposite of the screen. And then there is also the Salty Dog. In the pizzeria, usually they have 3 different pizzas ready to go. You can also custom order one. But the 3 that were ready, there's a cheese, pepperoni, and then they usually have a special of the day. Just kind of a heads up, the cheese pizza has basil on it, which my son is a picky eater. He did not like. The Salty Dog had hot dogs, which are all beef. They had hamburgers, you get french fries, you can get chicken street tacos. All were very delicious in my opinion. My son, for some reason, did not like the cheeseburgers. Not sure why. I personally liked them. So another quick service place is the International Cafe, which is on deck 5. That is open 24 hours a day, where the quick service places on the pool deck are only open 11 to 10 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. So the International Cafe, they have sandwiches, desserts, and also, of course, you can get custom coffee there. That is at an extra cost. But outside of that, I didn't partake in any of the specialty dining on board the Sky Princess outside. I did have the Crown Grill, which is a steakhouse. I did order room service from there one night. I had the filet mignon, which it was decent. It was $22 for a steak and 2 sides. They did have a creme brulee, like salted caramel cheesecake, I think. That was delicious. That was $6. So just kind of heads up, if you like cheesecake, you might want to get that when you're on board, because I enjoyed it quite a bit. Having my son on board, of course, I took advantage of the children's programming on board. Princess partners with Discovery, and they have a program backed by Discovery. The kids club usually was open from 9 to noon, then they took a 2-hour break, and then 2 to 5, a 2-hour break, and then 7 to 10 every night that you're at sea. Now, port days do change. However, on this ship, unfortunately, we had many sea days. A heads up on transatlantic voyages, of course, you're going to have several sea days. This one, unfortunately, weather did not fare with us, so we had to skip a couple ports, which gave us extra sea days. Discovery Kids Club, they have 3 different areas for different age groups. However, with only 15 children, well, 15, I only have 10 fingers. With only 15 children on board, they only had one of the areas open. They combined everybody into that area. The teens area was open for guests to partake in foosball, air hockey, air hockey and skee ball. I'm not for sure if the video games were on. I never made it up there, but that is something kind of heads up there. One thing I always enjoy is good entertainment on board, and I think here on board there's a couple different entertainment options. One of the nights they did have the little opera company. Not gonna lie to you guys, opera is not my forte, but for those that enjoy opera, I think they were very talented. Just not my cup of tea personally. They also had a guitar player from South America. He was funny and he was really talented. He was definitely worth seeing. They also brought on a ventriloquist about halfway into the voyage when we did have one port stop. They brought him on board and he was really funny. He had my son laughing really hard throughout the show, so I think he did a wonderful job as well. Unfortunately, with the weather on board, one area I didn't take advantage of as much, but the shore excursions, kind of the process for that. I had a shore excursion booked for Morocco, but we had to skip Morocco due to weather. But they did refund me my money back really quickly on that, so I am grateful for that. However, the day that we were in Funchal, Madeira, we got off, kind of did our own thing that day, which, just kind of looking back, I wish I would have booked an excursion through the cruise line. We were almost stranded because I relied on local transportation. However, I would say the local taxi company came through, and I appreciate everything that they did. They sent a taxi for us, and we were able to make it back to the ship just in the nick of time. Looking back, the process of getting off board was a little, I think, chaotic. You had to stand in a line and kind of wait a while to get off the ship. Getting back on was a lot easier, so that's one thing I think went really well, is you're able to get back on easier than you were able to get off. Lastly, my thoughts, the crew on board, they are all very nice. However, they did seem overworked, not as personable as some other cruises I've been on before. Some of them kind of seemed annoyed or maybe short-tempered. Not anything they took out on the guests by any means, but throughout the cruise, I would say they're not as personable as some other cruise lines I've been on. They work really hard, they work really long hours, so I definitely see where they're coming from. But one thing I just kind of noticed and just wanted to make you aware of, the captain, one thing that he kept communication flowing to the guest really, really well. He would have daily announcements at noon as to our navigational progress, some facts, some things like that. Anytime a port was canceled, he told us right away, told us what to expect. And then one of the days we did have a medical emergency where we had to offload somebody in Lisbon, Portugal.
Now the rescue boat from Lisbon is going to escort our tender to the marina, which is
and he told us what was going on, kept us informed throughout that process as well. So that is one thing I say would be, or one thing that I say went very well, is how the captain kept everybody updated throughout the process of everything. In conclusion, Princess Cruises, in my opinion, is more of an adult-oriented cruise. They have programs for children, yes, but they are very they're very isolated is the best way I can describe it. Everything's in the kids club. There's not a lot of activities throughout the ship that are kid inclusive as well, which that is okay. I mean, especially on a voyage like a transatlantic, where you're not going to see a lot of kids because of school. So that's one thing to keep in mind. However, the ship is gorgeous. The crew work really hard, even though I did say they are kind of not as personable, but they did work really hard, and they just kind of kept out of your way and just kept working. So they did a great job. The ship was immaculate. I don't think I could find a smudge in any of the shiny objects on board this ship. So they did a really great job of keeping the ship clean. Room attendant did a great job keeping the room clean. We spent a lot of time in here, so it wasn't always easy for him to get the room clean because we were in his way. But when we were out of the room, before you knew it, the bed was made, the trash was taken out, the floor was vacuumed. It's like, I don't know, I'm pretty sure the guy sleeps in the closet. But outside of that, he did a great job. There's a few things, of course, that could have gone better. That's the way it is on everything. Just like on the weather could have gone better. Nobody could have controlled that. So unfortunately, we did have the canceled ports. But that was done in an abundance of caution for the safety and comfortability of the passengers on board. So I understand that. Everything else on board, I would say, went really well. 14-night cruise is a great time to just relax. If you want to read a book by the pool, you can read a book for 3 days. Bring plenty of books. So I think overall everything went really well. As always, if you found this information helpful, please hit the subscribe button. That way you can keep up to date with all the reviews, ship tours, everything there. And if you have any questions, I'm definitely always up to answer those. I read everything that's put in the comments below, so questions, comments, concerns, whatever, or if you just want to say hi, definitely put it in the comments below and I'll read those. And from the Sky Princess, and a small world travels large. Good night.